Hey there, fellow stargazers and amateur astronomers passionate about capturing the beauty of our planets. Today, we're diving into the fascinating process of enhancing a Jupiter image from start to finish using Photoshop. Join us for an exciting journey through the wonders of planetary imaging. Get ready to dive into a screen recording where I'll walk you through my process of transforming a raw image of Jupiter using Photoshop. The TIFF image we're working with is the result of stacking 7,921 frames captured by the ASI 462 colored camera attached to an 11-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope. I also had in my optical train an ADC, atmospheric dispersion corrector filter, and a 2x Barlow. With only the top 10% of frames selected due to average seeing conditions, we've got a 1096 by 1096 pixels TIFF file ready for processing. Believe it or not, this is what the original video captured by my camera looks like. It's blurry, I know. That's all thanks to the average seeing conditions. As you watch this SIR video closely, you'll notice moments where the image briefly sharpens, only to blur again. It's like looking at an object through water with constant turbulence distorting the view. Let's begin the processing with Photoshop. Here's our raw TIFF image of Jupiter. I'll begin by adjusting the image size to increase the pixel ratio, giving us a larger canvas to work on. While this doesn't directly enhance the original image, it does make a difference in how we can manipulate it with various tools and filters. For example, with the unsharp mask filter, I found that having more pixels to work with allows for greater precision in the results. In Photoshop, I have a habit of duplicating layers and creating new ones as I progress through each stage of the process. Whether I'm changing the type of filter or working with multiple layers simultaneously, this approach allows me the flexibility to backtrack if needed and redo any segment of the editing process. Now, let's save this TIFF PSD file with a new name while preserving all layers to retain our progress. Let us begin with the sharpening tool, Unsharp Mask. Let's sharpen the image a bit. I'll start by selecting an area with a pixel size of around 20.8 and apply a 53% effect amount. The smaller, finer details in the image benefit from a smaller pixel size area for sharpening. As for the larger details, a larger pixel size area is more suitable. This approach also enhances the contrast of features, such as the various layers of clouds on Jupiter. When deciding the order of sharpening, I typically begin with the finer details and then move on to the larger ones. Let's sharpen the image once more. This time, I'll use a smaller pixel size area of around 8.9 and apply the same 53% effect amount. Notice how in this small window within the Unsharp Mask tool, you can zoom in for a close-up view. This feature aids in observing the changes occurring when you toggle the preview on and off. Let's sharpen one more time and keeping the same values. Let's delve even further into the finer details by reducing the area pixel size slightly to 7.5. Let's repeat this step, but this time, let's decrease the percent effect amount to 34. It's important to proceed with caution and avoid overdoing it too quickly, as we don't want to introduce noise into the image early in the process. We also want to preserve some room to maneuver throughout this process. All right, let's duplicate this layer as a precautionary measure, ensuring that we have a backup in case we go too far with the sharpening process. How about we set aside the sharpening for now and instead dive into a hue and saturation filter? By boosting some of its levels, we can give the image a bit more shape and depth. We'll adjust the levels to a hue of +4 and a saturation of +23. Now let's move on to color balance. Some might argue about the order in which I'm using it in the process, but through experimentation, I've found that it serves as a useful color correction tool for me. We'll adjust the color balance settings as follows. Increase cyan red by +7, decrease magenta green by -3, and increase yellow blue by +6, all in the mid-tones. And don't forget to toggle back and forth using the preview button to ensure a clear comparison between the before and after effects. Now, let's compare our current adjustments to the original brute image layer by toggling back and forth using the mute button represented by a little eye icon. This comparison will provide us with a sense of progress, which is crucial for understanding the big picture of our editing journey. Let's duplicate this layer and proceed with further processing. Shadows and highlights adjustment will indeed enhance the cloud features on Jupiter, giving them more depth and contrast. Let's give it a try and see the difference. I typically set the shadows amount level to 1. Then, for the highlights amount, I prefer to increase it slightly to +3. In the adjustment section, I've settled on setting the value to +20. After making this adjustment, I'll toggle back and forth the preview to compare the changes. Now let's utilize the color curves filter. In the RGB curve, let's decrease the low end to reduce exposure. In another sense, this adjustment increases contrast. Then, let's boost the high section of the curve to add more brightness, which helps to restore the loss of gain we adjusted earlier. It's important to approach each of these adjustments subtly. The final result is often better achieved by making hundreds of small adjustments along the way, rather than a few big ones. Done. Now let's apply a bit of the vibrance filter to add some warmth to the image. Let's settle on a vibrance setting of +5 and a saturation setting of +4. Let's move forward and duplicate another layer. Now let's use a filter from a third-party source called Topaz Denoise AI by Topaz Labs. Let's open it up and see how it can enhance our image. Indeed, opinions about this filter can vary, but ultimately, its effectiveness depends on how it's used. If it's suitable for renowned planetary imager Christopher Go, then there's no need for additional approval to use it. Let's set the AI model to low light. In settings, adjust the level of remove noise to 99% and enhance sharpness to 6%. In post-processing, set the recover original detail to 4% and the color noise reduction to 10%. Then, press Apply to begin the process. If you choose not to press Apply, a preview of the final results will appear, but keep in mind that it may take some time to complete. Once Topaz has completed the process, we'll automatically return to the Photoshop workstation with the updated image of Jupiter. We'll definitely duplicate this new layer with the Topaz effect. And naturally we return to sharpening again, but this time with a higher area pixel ratio. For the new ratio value, let's set it to 21.7 with an effect amount of 34%. Let's do it one last time with the same settings. This is starting to look pretty good, huh? Exposure adjustment? Sure, why not? It's all about those microdoses. An offset at 0.0099. Let's duplicate a layer once more. I'm filling in a previous layer with the same black taken from the background of my Jupiter image to ensure consistency in color around Jupiter as much as possible. Then, with the Sphere Shape Select tool, I'm going to copy only the disk of Jupiter to paste it onto a new layer. After pasting the disk of Jupiter onto a new layer, I'll rotate it so that the equator line aligns with the horizon. Next, I'll reduce the scale size of Jupiter to make it smaller in the center of the image, ensuring it fits in a more natural way for presentation. And nicely centered, ensuring a balanced composition. There you have it. It's worth mentioning that many times after viewing my image on different devices and screens, I often return to make some small adjustments again, typically with color balance or vibrance and some final sharpening moves. So I'm back to do some tiny touch-ups after reviewing the image on other devices. Let's revisit the sharpening tool and apply it once more with the same settings. See how those clouds came out clearer. I'll add saturation only to the large cloud features horizontally using the Rectangular Select tool. The saturation level will be applied only within the selected area. This will add depth to them and make them stand out. I thought it needed that lift for my image to be more captivating. One more tiny sharpening with a lower amount percentage, and it's finally done. Yes. Wow. Look how it's got more character. What do you think of my Jupiter image now? It's awesome, isn't it? Please leave a comment or you can ask questions below. I'll be happy to answer them. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this tutorial video. I hope it inspired you to pursue this wonderful hobby. I hope this video has provided you with valuable insights into using filters to enhance your planetary processing skills. Stay tuned for more videos from AstroVega by subscribing, liking, sharing, and staying connected. Until next time, clear skies to all.